Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I am the jerk off who picked Cody. You name a Cody, I picked him to win. I am that jerk off. Let's go with Brundage. I had Cody Brundage winning that fight. I think I even had Cody Stamen winning his last UFC fight. I'm just a jerk off. But I'm here to recap UFC 326 Holloway versus Oliveira 2, which will now be referred to as Oliveira versus Holloway 2. Let's start at the top. This was one-sided domination. We've seen this fight a few times recently. Hamzat Chimaev versus Dricus du Plessis, Islam Makhachev versus Jack Della Maddalena, and Jailton Almeida versus Derek Lewis. Although Charles Oliveira is not in danger of being cut because he's already the most exciting fighter on the planet. Just maybe not today. But Charles did what he needed to do. He wasn't fighting. He wasn't looking for the BMF championship, even if he was fighting for it. He was fighting to beat Max Holloway, and he did so with ease. I thought he got the better of Max really everywhere, but this was more of a grappling match, let's be honest. But in the small moments on the feet, I still thought Charles was dictating things. He was the bully, and Max never looked comfortable, although after the first takedown, Max definitely wasn't comfortable. He was just, he felt that strength from Oliveira. But Charles, yeah, I think Charles won with strength. I think these were two different men here at lightweight in their 30s. And Charles Oliveira looked like the much stronger lightweight. I know Max has looked good physically since making the move, but Charles has been there. Charles has bullied more established lightweights. And here, Max had nothing for him. Once they clinched up, it was a done deal. He would just pick Max up and turn him, twist him, and torque him however he wanted and got him to the mat pretty easily. Max, I have to give him credit. First of all, he's in great shape, and he's not in any worse shape now. His chin is fine, even though he ate the worst shots. I'm sure he's beaten up a little bit in some invisible ways, but he was not knocked out. He was not submitted. He went 5 rounds and still was looking to fight in the end. He still has every trait in the book and all that horse shit. But professionally, this was a big loss. He was shut down in a big way like he's never been shut down before against Charles Oliveira. And I don't think this means the next guy is going to be looking to take Max to the ground. Watch. Let's hope it opens up a whole new world of possibilities. No, that's not the case. Everybody would have been taking Max to the ground if it was just an option that's available. I don't think it's an option for 95% of fighters, and I don't think it's a feasible option for 99% of fighters. And Max showed if you get him to the ground, he could have the best guy in the world on his neck for 22 minutes, and he's not going to tap. There were plenty of times where I thought, oh, even Max has to have some sort of give in him. Come on, this is your way out. But no, he never gave up. And in the final seconds, he was still looking to throw down, even though he ended up getting cracked with a big right hand there. So yeah, Max, I still think he's got every trait in the book. I still think he's got every technical trait we've seen from him in the book. And I still think he's got a bright future. He is quite younger than Charles. I don't know, 4 years, whatever it is. But he's in his early 30s, and Max did not suffer a big physical setback here. But professionally and promotionally and all the rest of it, Charles stepped over him, next leveled him, and he took his title, whatever the fuck the BMF title means. But even remove the BMF title, Charles stepped over him in a big way at lightweight. And I think Charles, despite getting knocked out by Ilia Topuria in a horrific way last year, that was definitely the worst knockout, the worst loss of Charles's career. And he's been finished a bunch, but no one's put him out like that. But despite that, he's 2-0 since, and the wins could not be more impressive to me. Submission win over Mateusz Gamrot. I think that win is underrated, but that is such a strong victory, especially closing the show with a sub. And then to beat Max Holloway. in any way. I mean, certainly 5 rounds of domination is nice, but even if it was by disqualification, he beat Max Holloway. So Charles Oliveira is not done challenging for titles. He is a title contender right now as it stands. He's not going to get the next shot, although I don't know. Arman Sarukian might go fucking beat the shit out of somebody outside the UFC and never get his shot. But Charles is a contender. He's as dangerous as anybody, and he may not have given Ilya Taporia the best fight, but he gave Arman Sarukian a hell of a fight a year and a half ago anyway, 2 years ago. I still think Charles Oliveira is a tippy top contender. But Max Holloway, yeah, he's healthy. He's going to need to regroup. This was a pivotal loss for him. Kyle Bahayo beat Ranier de Ritter. I thought this was a pretty comfortable victory for Kyle Bahayo. I can't say comfortable. It was close. It was close, but I did think Kyle won. I just thought he was a sharper guy throughout the fight. A lot of nice check right hooks. And I thought he was, and his left hand was money throughout the fight. I thought Ranier de Ritter took a little bit to get going, but he did get going. I'm talking about in the striking. He was trying to grapple. I mean, he's always trying to grapple, but I didn't really have much success there. I think Kyle Bahayo's a tough guy to physically bulldoze, but Ranier was bringing it on the feet. And I thought he turned it up in the second half of the fight or whatever, throughout the whole fight, really. And it was close, but I still thought Kyle definitely edged it. And Kyle, even in the end, shut him down on the ground. I think if he had another few rounds, he might have fatigued him. But yeah, he's a big, strong, physical grappler, and he's the better athlete. And I think that was what solved this fight, what won this fight for him. The athletic advantage, with the majority of this fight being contested on the feet. He was able to reach Ranier a lot more than Ranier was able to reach him. And I thought Kyle had the better moments, the best strikes landed. So overall, a great victory for him, even though it wasn't the most dominant or thrilling fight, but it was a good fight and a great win over a top contender still in Ranier de Ritter. And for Ranier de Ritter, he didn't collapse here, which is a good look. It's his first loss by decision, although again, who knows what rounds 4 and 5 might have looked like. So yeah, that was good for Ranier de Ritter, but he is definitely limited by his athleticism or lack thereof. He's got physical traits and he was making use of them, but he doesn't have the athleticism to really back it all up. And he doesn't have the wrestling to complement his grappling. He needs wrestling. He needs to get on top of you. And that's where he's more dangerous than anybody. But he's got to give himself that option in every fight. And here just wasn't an option for him. So he's got to bounce back and become a contender again. Raul Rosas Jr. beat Rob Font. Thought Rob looked good for a few minutes. He had that low stance, which looked kind of ridiculous, let's be honest. But Raul Rosas Jr. was too strong of a wrestler. And once he got him down, they only came easier or more easily. And Raul Rosas Jr. won this fight exactly how I thought he would. I thought there's a chance he would wilt and fatigue down the stretch, and the takedown defense would get better. We've seen Rob Font surge in the end of competitive fights, but Raul Rosas Jr. kept returning him to the mat and didn't really push it on the ground. I think he could have. I think he definitely had more grappling to show Rob Font, but he was winning the fight by thoroughly out wrestling him. So great win for Raul Rosas Jr. I know he's already established inside the octagon for years now, but he's still a 21-year-old kid who beat Rob Font. So great grinding victory for him. And for Rob Font, this does nothing to change my opinion of Rob Font. I knew this could happen. He can still school the youngsters, but he's takedownable. It just is what it is. Drew Dober knocked out Michael Johnson. I don't know what happened with the betting line. I actually didn't bet more on Michael Johnson, even though he became a big favorite or plus 180. But I bet on him as a favorite, like a sucker. But there was drastic line movement with this fight. And that's the exact reason the fight was pulled last month between Michael Johnson and whoever, Alexander Hernandez. So it just, I don't know. My flags were up. My flags, my radar, whatever. There was a flag on the play, and I said, I'm gonna sit back on this one, even though I was still already committed to Michael Johnson. As for the fight, I thought Michael Johnson had the speed advantage. I thought he looked sharper early on. I don't think he fell apart. I don't think cardio cost him or anything. I think Drew Dober is fast enough on his own. He may not be as fast as Michael, but he's fast, and I think he's twice as strong and powerful as fucking prime Mike Tyson, pretty much. And that's what Drew Dober did. Cracked him with a big left hand. It was one and done, and that was it. Michael Johnson was done. Drew Dober, he's been in this type of fight before. He's had a rocky start with guys piecing him up on the feet. He keeps that power throughout the whole fight, and he figured Michael out. He said afterwards he knew Michael's left hand was going to be like a piston and it was going to be dictating things. And he made his reads, figured him out, and when he caught Michael Johnson a little too stagnant, he clipped him with a big left hand, which was definitely the biggest weapon in this fight. Even though Johnson's got a nice sharp left hand, Drew Dober carries all the power. So great win for Drew Dober. Crushed Michael Johnson, the fourth guy to finish Michael. And at 40 years old now, or 39, this is a rough one. He was last knocked out 3 years ago against Carlos Diego Ferreira. But Drew Dober, he's a few years younger and he's still going. He may not be surging to the tippy top, but Drew Dober has stayed afloat. He's got momentum, a gritty win over Kyle Prepolek, and now a gritty win over Michael Johnson. He's still got that finishing power, and he's definitely an above average UFC fighter, and he's here to stay. So great win for Drew Dober. Really sucks for MJ, from Michael Johnson, in case you didn't know who MJ was. RoboCop knocked out Bruno Ferreira. This was just a singular punch in the face, kind of just punched him in the face. And we know RoboCop hits harder than Mike Tyson. Not Drew Dober, though. Drew Dober hits harder than RoboCop. But yeah, RoboCop is such a fucking beast. He was fighting a guy who I thought his only chance to win was a knockout, even though Bruno Ferreira is a well-rounded guy and a judoka and all that. RoboCop, he's got that chin on him. But on the flip side, if you're hunting for that chin, RoboCop is probably more dangerous than you are, even if you've knocked him out. And I thought it was only a matter of time. I thought RoboCop would be measured. I didn't think it would be this sudden. But I did think RoboCop winning a fight, more often than not, it's got to end with a fucking concussion. And here, one shot at 1 minute and 47 seconds, and Bruno Ferreira has a concussion. Sucks for Bruno. He's got 2 knockout losses now out of his 3 losses. Nursultan Ruzaboyev caught him with a straight punch a few years ago, and now the rematch with RoboCop. Bruno's still young, but remains to be seen what this has done to his health. RoboCop, he's young too, though. He's only 30, even though he looks like he's 50. And he is in his physical prime, and he's a problem for anybody, any middleweight on earth, RoboCop. So I'm really glad he won this. I'm a big fan of his. And then Cody Garbrandt beat Xiaolong, or Long Zhao. Look, take away the 2 points, I still think Cody lost all 3 rounds. I still think he lost all 3 rounds. I should look and see which rounds they gave to Cody. I feel like they probably gave him round 1. I don't know. But I thought Long Zhao landed the better strikes throughout the whole fight. I thought he was controlling Cody. Cody was trying to mix in some wrestling, which seemed smart early, but Cody just was the lesser force in there. I thought everywhere. On the feet, grappling wise, physically. I just thought he didn't have anything for Long Zhao. I thought he was a step and a half behind, 2 steps behind, 2 points behind, and he ended up getting 2-point deductions and winning a horseshit decision. This was some real fucking Talislaidas versus Nate Marquardt type of shit. I believe there were point deductions in every direction in that fight. This was some weird shit. It goes down as a victory. It's good for Cody, the former champion, but he's got to be questioning things afterwards here. I heard him, his post fight interview. He knows he got lucky. Now, look, I didn't feel all the fouls he got to his balls and whatever else. I know he was compromised. I don't want to be the jerk off in a fucking fleece bathrobe talking about how easy a fighter's night was. But Cody Garbrandt, I think he was a step and a half behind Long Zhao. I think if they rematch next week, Long Zhao is a 10-1 favorite. That's what I think. And I think Cody Garbrandt's got one shot at beating him in that rematch without fucking disqualifications, and it's a one-shot kill. And even that is much more likely to go against Cody Garbrandt these days. So it's a win for Cody. I can't say good win. Certainly can't say great win. But he didn't get finished. He stayed afloat. And with some real luck, in my opinion, the cookie crumbled in his direction. What? The cookie crumbled in his favor. And the ball bounced in his direction. And for Xiao Long, he doesn't have a pretty UFC record. And I don't know what he's got going on. But I think he's going to stay around. And I think he's better than Cody Garbrandt. Whatever. Dante Johnson beat Cody Brundage by split decision. This was a split. And I'm glad it was a split just because I felt like that justified my bets on Cody Brundage. But Dante Johnson won this fight. Cody had a good start, got on top of Dante, and I thought he did a good job pretending to advance, but just keeping him down. I thought that was the best thing Cody could do. Instead of working and giving up position. I thought he'd just keep this guy on his back, keep your forearm in his face and his throat, pretend to throw punches and the rest of it. And Cody did that. And I'm sure Cody conserved on his own energy, but he still didn't have enough energy. He was outgunned down the stretch by Dante Johnson. Dante, I thought, took over in round two. Cody shooting some desperate takedowns and then kind of conceding the round. Thought the commentators were really sharp. They were all over it. Cody's resting and conceding positions. He did. And then in round three, he had some moments, but I thought Dante Johnson had twice as many moments. And Dante Johnson, this wasn't an easy win for him. I think this was, I can't say a good look. I know he was a 10-1 favorite, but round three was a good look. And round two, after round one here, I don't know if he fights somebody who's got a little more in the tank than Cody Brundage, if it's going to go as well for him. But here, he needed traits to beat Cody Brundage, and traits are what carried him to a victory. And also some good striking. I thought he was really athletic and really sharp down the stretch. I thought he'd look sloppier and more fatigued, but he came alive. So my opinion of him goes up, even though he beat Cody Brundage by split decision. And most fans would probably look at that like his stock took a big dip. Round one didn't go his way, but I still thought it was a really good win. So good win for Dante Johnson. And for Cody Brundage, this could be it, but I don't fucking know. We'll probably see him at UFC 327, stepping in to fight fucking Sam Alvey or whatever. I don't know. Alberto Montes beat Ricky Tercios by Anaconda choke. What is this, like 4 in a row now? It's fucking insane, this guy. He's got to move. Reminds me of Nogueira in the Pride Grand Prix 2004. First time we ever saw the Anaconda choke over Hirataka Yokoi. And then in the second round, he got it over Heath Herring in their second fight. Well, this guy, Alberto Montes, he's got his last 5 victories are all Anaconda chokes. And this Bravo choke you see here, that's a Darce, a Bravo choke. I don't know why the fuck it's called that. But it's not a Darce choke or a Bravo choke. That's also an Anaconda. And even here in this fight, his decision over Jonathan Quiroz, he went for a nice Anaconda there, deep in the fight. This guy, and that was before a long layoff. He's got it going on. I really liked his striking, really liked his grappling. I thought Ricky Tercios was doing his long athletic striking thing and frustrating Montez a little bit, just, winning points. But that wasn't meant to last. Alberto Montez was much sharper. I thought he beat him up with some really good strikes in tight, punches off the break or elbows or whatever. I got to watch it again. But I thought he looked really sharp, beat Ricky up, and beat the stand up out of him. And then once Ricky shot a lackadaisical takedown, Alberto Montez locked up the Anaconda on instinct. Just his hands were going right away, locked that thing up, and started rolling instantly and really made quick work of Ricky Tercios. Excellent submission. Everybody's going to be all over that for his next fight, but it's not just something where, hey, don't shoot. Fuck, don't shoot. Alberto Montez will make you shoot. This guy's a really well rounded fighter. Can't wait to see him fight again. I mean, really, excellent fucking performance. They got a bonus for it. And for Ricky Tercios, he didn't tap as a technical sub. He's still a tough guy, but he's not the best guy in any discipline. And here he was out disciplined everywhere. So tough loss for the former Ultimate Fighter winner. The fuck's going on with the Ultimate Fighter? Nine Jargle Tumen Demberel beat Cody Durden by decision. I thought Cody would be the sharper guy and win the small moments, I said. And I said if he loses, it's because Nine Jargle's going to kill him. Nine Jargle is really good at taking you back. He's got really good pop at his punches, and Cody's not durable. Instead, we got like the exact opposite type of fight. I mean, Naim Jargo still tried to kill Cody, but generally this was Cody trying to out-wrestle Naim Jargo, getting some takedowns and a little success there, but in general, going back to the wrestling as he lost gas, losing position, then getting straight up out-wrestled by Naim Jargo Tumen Demberel. And for the most part, I thought Cody was reduced to surviving. And he did survive, and he tried to scoop up some heel hooks and get his way out of some shitty spots. But in general, he was playing catch up. He never threatened Naim Jargo too much. And Naim Jargo won the points battle, won the positional battle, the wrestling battle, and the decision. So great win for Naim Jargo Tumen Demberel. Good to see another decision win under his belt. And this was a hard-earned victory. I still think he's a really dangerous guy. And on the flip side, great for Cody not getting finished, I suppose, or hurt too badly at all. But he was still shut down in arguably a worse way, losing the wrestling battle to Naim Jargo Tumen Demberel. And I don't think Cody Durden's going to be hanging around the UFC for too long. A few years ago, I thought he was a top fighter when he beat Charles Johnson and Jake Hadley and whoever else. But here, it's not just his durability, but he was shut down here technically. So tough loss for Cody. Suma Derji beat Jesus Santos Aguilar. God, did I pick Jesus Santos Aguilar? I think I did. I know I bet on him to win by submission at plus 400. What the fuck was I thinking? I still think he had one good guillotine choke. He could have done it. But Suma Derji didn't give him one choke. Nothing too easy anyway. Suma Derji was in control of this on the feet, much better at range and keeping things at range, at kicking range. And Jesus Santos Aguilar had a lot to do to even bring himself into this fight. He had to feint and strike his way into fainting distance. And Suma Derji was too far ahead of him, never let himself get caught in a bad spot, started taking Jesus Santos Aguilar down, which I know Suma Derji could grapple, but I didn't think that was wise. Jesus Santos Aguilar, you can't even relax in this guy's guard, as we saw against Stuart Nickel. But Suma Derji looked really comfortable. Jesus Santos Aguilar couldn't fatigue him with his aggression and all that. And it was just one on the technical level and the physical level. Suma Derji was fighting like he was fighting one of his kids, and he beat the shit out of him, like any good father would. For Jesus Santos Aguilar, it sucks, but he didn't get knocked out again. He's never been knocked out. It's not a loss that hurts his health. And he's a guy who's never going to have the height, the reach, and the leverage. But he's got to make more work for him. I mean, there's no male atom weight division or whatever the straw weight division or atom weight division, not in the UFC anyway. So Jesus Santos Aguilar, his body's got to work for him at 125, and that includes against guys like Suma Derji. And here, he had nothing for him. So a lot of great traits, but definitely lacking physically and technically. Dr. Nurgajai beat Rafael Tobias. Well, I really want to go back to calling Tobias. I really thought Rafael was, I still think he's a better grappler, but he was shut down here. I thought he was a better grappler, and I thought he'd be looking to mix it up. And I'm sure in his heart of hearts he was, but Dr. Nurgajai moved too well and struck too fast, too quickly for Rafael Tobias to make anything work for him. Rafael Tobias was trying to counter. He was half as fast as DR and maybe a little more powerful. And he landed some really good shots that almost changed the course of a few rounds and obviously the fight. But DR Nurgajai was a step ahead throughout the small moments throughout this whole fight, and he was not slow enough to be caught and be physically bullied. Rafael wanted to make this a much more physical fight, and DR Nurgajai shut him down at the athletic level. So great win for DR Nurgajai. He's a guy who did not have any momentum, two ugly losses, and now here he lives to fight another day in the UFC. And for Rafael Tobias, I've got to be honest, my opinion of this guy is dipped here with this fight. I just did not like the way he looked here. And I'm assuming he knew DR Nurgajai was submitted twice in his last two fights and his only two losses. And Rafael Tobias, he didn't do enough to bring the fight there. I thought when he had DR hurt, he went for a takedown, which showed it was on his mind. But he couldn't close the show there, and DR wasn't long before he took away that moment anyway. So tough loss for him. We'll see how Rafael Tobias looks in the future. And then Rodolfo Bellato beat Luke Fernandez by TKO. Luke Fernandez really reminds me of Chris Weidman. I don't know if I said that in the pre-fight, but he does. And got a nice left hook. But here he was clipped. I thought he was a step and a half ahead of Rodolfo Bellato. Looked really sharp early on, but he's a young fighter. We don't know everything about him. This was a big step up in a lot of ways. And now I've got to be honest. Again, I'm a jerk off in a fleece bathrobe. I don't want to start criticizing tough guys, but this wasn't the prettiest look for a loss. I can't say it was too encouraging. No, obviously, it's a loss, but it's very discouraging when it comes to Luke Fernandez. You know, not that I want to write him off as Cody Brundage or whoever this one or that one, but he wasn't knocked unconscious. He was hit with a nice big shot, but still, for a guy who just does nothing but watch fights, I expected a little more fight out of that spot. That was some Grant Dawson type of shit. So Rodolfo Bellato gets a nice win. He needed one and a nice finish, and I believe he got a nice bonus. But it's a win that I'm still trying to figure out, and I think it'll be figured out in time once we see a little more of Luke Fernandez, if we do see a little more of Luke Fernandez. That is it. I am the jerk-off who picked Cody Stamann to defeat Saeed Nurmagomedov or whatever the fuck. Like, share, subscribe, all that horse shit, and check out my other videos.